Hello, I'm Liz Rowlinson, editor of Place in the Sun, and I'm here with Sun Lawyers and one of their very happy visa applicants to talk about getting a visa in Spain and other legal matters they can help you with. So I'd like to introduce Jose Maria Lomax. You're the owner of the company, Jose, aren't you?
Well, my family, this is a family business that obviously my dad established in 1985, and with the help of my sister and obviously people like Mark, we are doing our best to run the business, yes.
And you're in the Costa Blanca, but you've got, tell me the reach of your company in Spain.
Well, nowadays we've got 7 offices, all through the Costa Blanca, and we open in the 8th office in about a month's time. So basically we've been, well, helping people, expats and obviously other foreigners to come to Spain and to help them in any legal matter.
And relocation has become a massive thing for you, especially post Brexit, hasn't it? You've got a lot. I think you've had about 70 odd non-lucrative visa applications alone in the last few months.
That's right. Well, we obviously after Brexit, the demand of people, especially from the UK, that have got in contact with us, hoping and obviously wishing to come to Spain to get their non-lucrative visas and golden visas has been huge. So we had to open our own office where Mark, one of our colleagues today here to talk about all the aspects of all this new process is going to talk to you. And we had to open a new office with obviously new staff and process all of those demand from prospective clients.
So Mark, tell me about the options for British people moving to Spain who want to spend more than 90 days there now after Brexit.
Well, basically it's a visa process now. There's a few options available to potential clients who like to live in Spain. And the most popular right now is a non-lucrative visa. You can't be salaried. It's perfect for retirees or early retirees. There are, business people could possibly go for the investor visa or golden visa, people like I've heard of before. And the new workers who can basically work anywhere, digital nomads, there's a new visa being developed by the Spanish government. We're still awaiting it to be approved in the Parliament.
Okay, so with the non-lucrative visa, could you just explain the basics of the requirements? Because I know that there is a minimum income requirement that is a bit of a hurdle in some people's eyes. It might not be the hurdle they initially think.
Yeah, basically financial means, some clients may not have pensions yet or annuities, and basically they might be worried, I don't have enough, I don't have the financial means. But basically we could provide evidence of savings. There are some other things that we could show. If you own a property, they would deem that you have less living expenses. Other things such as, basically as we've been going along, we've been learning quite a few tricks. Now we have them up our sleeves, such as, credit card, £10,000 limit. They'd consider that as savings. So, basically they will, at the beginning, they wouldn't accept savings, and they wanted everybody to invest all the money and then get a monthly drawdown. But we have, now we can get a visa approved with savings, and basically a general rule of thumb is around £2,000 per month incomes or a year's worth for one person. And if we provide like a marriage certificate for a couple, then it's typically about £2,500 per month or a year's worth of that.
And aren't you right in thinking that also you can use rental income from a UK property as proof of some of that income?
Yeah, well, we'll have clients who have many, different forms of incomes, and the advice is just, we'll take everything. It's better to have more than less.
Yeah, and you've had quite a success rate with this. What are the sort of the main people hardly get refused, I think you've told me before, but what are the main reasons that you can go wrong in your application?
Well, basically, paperwork all needs to be legalized and translated. A lot of people, in 2021 were going to the consulates, basically, only half of the paperwork, and they're being turned away. You need someone who can tell you, and list the documents required, and, basically what could possibly, knock back could be a document not, legible, or, we did have a scenario with a client who had to then process again the document. So it's important to have the right documents, all, legalized and translated, and basically, proper bank statements, not just screenshots from a mobile telephone app. We need to have proper documentation, for the officials to be able to prove that you will have the financial means and you have the health care. Some clients have had a requirement to provide, further period on their health care, because they only had like 6 months left. So, when we do submit documents, a lot of the times we'll be required to provide something, and so it's not a stumbling block to the process.
But one final thing, you have to be aware that documents often last 3 months, don't they? And if they expire, you might have to get another one if the process takes longer than you anticipated. Yeah,
exactly. The documents, the health, the medical certificate, the police report, and any marriage certificates will all expire after 3 months. And it is quite an issue right now, because the consulates in the UK, the Spanish consulates, are on strike. So we are trying to advise clients, we can start the process, but we'll have to see how that develops. And if we have to, we may have to renew paperwork, but we're trying our best, to make sure clients have paperwork, up to date, and we'll just have to adapt to the circumstances.
Great. Okay. Well, Sue is an example of a success that she's done all that, or with your help. So we'll talk to Sue now. Tell me, Sue, you had a holiday home in Spain, didn't you? And then you decided you want to live there full time.
That's correct. Yes. Yeah.
Tell me about why that was.
We obviously lived here 7 years and absolutely love Costa Blanca. So once we both retired, my husband and I, we decided Spain was where we wanted to be. So yeah, we only did it. We started the process in November with the help of some lawyers, and we arrived here on the 23rd of May of this year.
And how was the process? Were you initially sort of really worried about the amount of paperwork?
Oh,
what were
yes.
your perceptions about it?
Yes, it was a very scary period, but thankfully Mark kept us up to date with emails. The Spanish documents we needed, we had Mark to help us with, which I think we wouldn't have been able to complete without Mark's advice. Everything else went quite well. Doing the apostles on the police checks, they came back quickly. It wasn't cheap to do. It was quite an expensive, now we're out of the EU.
Yeah.
It was quite an expensive thing to do, but, we think it's worth it.
So to clarify there, yes, you need a police check and you need a medical certificate, don't you?
Yes, we had to go to our own GP in the UK to get a medical certificate. Again, Mark presented us with the layout of it, so it was quite simple. But obviously you have to pay for that. Then you have to pay for it to be translated into Spanish and apostilled. So, which is the case with every document.
Yeah, it's a lot of unfamiliar processes, isn't it? And I mean, would you be able to give people an idea of how much you think? I mean, as you say, it's worth it for you, but how much do you think the process cost you?
Well, I know exactly. It cost us £4,000 each, but that did include the medical, Spanish medical health, obviously son lawyer, and all the apostles. So it cost myself and my husband £4,000 each.
And just to clarify for people listening, the health certificate is different from the private health cover, you know, the insurance.
Yes.
And that you need to get because you're young, you're not retired, are you? You're way
Well,
on that.
Well, we are retired. But I'm 55 and my husband's 57, but we've taken early retirement. But yes, we're not getting any younger. So for us, we definitely need the health in Spain. So we were quite willing to do the health. That's not a problem to us.
Yeah.
One of the most important things, I think.
I think you're correct, and that's for a year, is it? And then you renew it, or did you then are you then able to go onto the Spanish, contribute like the Spanish?
No, not on a non-lucrative. We will have to pay. We cannot take anything out of the Spanish economy. But what happened with us was what Mark talked about earlier. We took the policy out in the November, but because we weren't coming here as a resident in the May, we had to extend it by a further 6 months so that we had the full year from when we landed here.
Okay.
So that was a little hurdle, a stumbling block we did. So my suggestion to anyone really would be, make sure you know your date when you're coming and the policy starts from that date. But the consulate were very good. They allowed us to just extend the policy and email it to them. So we didn't fail at the consulate. So that was good.
I think that's a brilliant piece of advice about timing is perhaps the most crucial thing in this process, isn't it?
Everything was about the timing, 90 days to get everything, which was probably the scariest bit that we kept thinking, oh, are we going to get that in time? Because we were married in Jamaica.
Oh.
So we had another stumbling block where we couldn't get it apostilled in obviously on a UK marriage, it was quite straightforward, but we had to contact the Jamaican consulate to get them to translate and apostolize, and actually had to be notarized as well, which cost us £250.
God, yes, I think we've had this this problem has been raised at one of our Place in the Sun exhibitions when someone in the audience was saying they were married outside the UK and getting hold of a certificate was slightly more tricky. Yes,
and more expensive. Yes. But although we haven't even been asked for it.
But you've got it.
But we've got it just in case. Yeah.
And it must have been a big relief when what happened at the actual appointment when you went to the consulate?
The appointment was quite straightforward. It was a bit like going to a shop. No chairs to sit on. You just stood there face to face with one young lady who was actually very, very nice. We just handed the paperwork over. She checked them out. Obviously, the medical I needed to adapt. She gave me the email address to send it to, and we paid, and we were in there 10 minutes. Brilliant. So it was straightforward, really. Once you've got all the paperwork with you, it was quite straightforward. But if anybody's in any doubt that they don't need a solicitor to help them, they do.
Yeah, I've interviewed people who are even sort of fluent in Spanish and say they wouldn't even try it themselves without some expert help on this process, because it's very new and you need someone who knows what they're doing.
And as well, making sure you've done it legally, and you've because obviously when you've done your police check, you haven't got any criminal records. We want the same thing in Spain. We want to make sure we've done it the correct way, and that obviously Sun Lawyers have been our lawyers since we arrived in Spain 7 years ago, and we bought a further property through Sun Lawyers, and I couldn't highly recommend them.
Brilliant. And just to finish off with your story, I mean, how are you now? I mean, how are you going to spend your retirement?
We're just going to live our best life, living the dream. We play golf, and obviously we have family come over, so it's actually more quality time with them in Spain than it is probably in the UK, because they're going to be here for a week or two at a time. But yeah, we've obviously already got a good network of friends because we've been out here for some time. But yeah, we're just going to enjoy life and take in more outdoor living and hopefully more sunshine.
Brilliant. Well, look, thanks for telling us about that for now. I'll go and talk. We'll talk to Mark a bit more about the process. Thanks.
Thank you.
So Mark, that's a really positive example. I mean, what's the sort of you mentioned the consulates being on strike, but what's sort of the average time in normally that people should expect to get their visa through?
Well, I can confirm, just before the strikes, clients were taking around a couple of weeks to get an appointment. Certainly London, I can confirm that, and a couple of weeks to get approved the visa. Since the strikes begun, things are a bit slower. So we've had some new appointments, given to clients, and a few visas approved, since the strikes began. And basically, we just need to really, inform the clients about the situation. And in some cases, it's more beneficial for them if they're worried about, selling a house in the UK, or they're going to get a lump sum from the tax office, from pension, for example. A lot of the times it's a good idea to delay a bit longer, but, we just have to get timing as close as we can and basically get everything organized in time.
And I've interviewed a few people, some of your clients as well, that they might get the non-lucrative visa for a year, and then they plan, once they're settled in Spain, to then change to another visa so they can work in Spain. I mean, that's something to make people aware of, isn't it? That avenue.
Yeah, possibly. The initial non-lucrative could be the easiest option, because it's quite difficult to get a lucrative or working visa as like a self-employee or a autonomo. Yeah, exactly. It's very, very difficult to do that on the offset. We need a business plan. We need to present a project. So, if the client can come at least for a year, they'd be able to take that time to get things ready, get a project and business plan prepared, and then submit a switch to a lucrative permit, after that first year. Likewise, somebody who would like to work for a company, it's not that easy to do that for in the consulate, via the visa, because the employer would probably have to publish the job for residents and Spanish citizens first. But that's not the case if you've been for a non-lucrative for at least 1 year, and you can do that switch a bit easier.
Yeah, a couple of people I've interviewed have sort of they've called it a sort of an adult gap year. Well, they use the year to sort of renovate their house or do something else, and then they will become self-employed doing one of the many things that you can do in Spain. Exactly.
We do have a few clients that are that have begun with the non-lucrative, and they're planning to buy a property and then switch to the investor permit. you know, so there are quite a few different options, and you know, depending on the personal circumstances of the clients, we can advise them which are the best options for them.
And just on the subject of cost, Sue mentioned that their costs, but just because I've spoken to a few people on this, it's not always quite that much, is it? There's a range. I don't want to sort of how we manage people's expectations of the budget. I mean, I have interviewed people that it's cost less than £1,000 each. Can you give an idea of you know, why costs might vary?
Well, basically, you know, depending on how quickly you'd like to get the documents, you know, how you know, if you're not in a rush, then, you know, possibly there are cheaper options to get documents, to obtain them. And basically, you know, if someone, for example, has a state pension, then now they'll accept an S1 certificate, so they wouldn't need a private health insurance, you know. There are certain things that possibly could be arranged in Spain if the client is coming to Spain, for example, the medical certificate. But, you know, we'll have to see the circumstances of the client and adapt a timeline. And if a client is able to come to Spain, you know, not overstaying the 90 days, because that could prevent them from getting a visa. Basically, if they can adapt to their circumstances, then possibly we can see if we can save some funds, you know, some monies, and basically, you know, try and lower the costs. But, you know, if a client who needs to do things quite quickly because they've already booked an appointment, then we'll have to pay quite a bit more, you know, express courier, etc.
Okay, before we bring Jose in to talk about what else the company does, can you just, on the timeline, can you just, if people want to get a non-lucrative visa, what are the first steps in terms of, you know, planning?
Planning. Generally, we'd need to see when they should arrive to Spain. Meaning, if they've sold a house, then capital gains tax could be an issue, and might be beneficial to be a non-fiscal resident during this calendar year. So we need to sometimes backtrack and then figure out when we can start with the police report and basically medical certificate. And once that's they have been obtained, then if you were married in the UK, we could then order the apostille for all the 4 documents. We could get a sworn translation at that same company, and also order the new marriage certificate with in the same step, legalize it, and get the translation too. Okay.
And there's some good articles on your website more about this visa, which people can read about the details of the process. So just to flag that up. Okay, great. Well, I mean, going back to sort of buying in Spain initially, Jose, I mean, Sun Lawyers can help with every step of the process, can't they? From looking to buy a property to relocation and after that. Can you just give an idea to people about the different things that your company can make life easier for British people in Spain?
Yes, well, we've been trading for many years in the area. As I said previously, we've got 7 offices all through the Costa Blanca. We also cover the Costa Calida, the Murcia region. And basically what we do is, well, we guide and help the clients that would like to purchase a property in Spain through all the different steps. As a first requirement, we will suggest the clients that they do a power of attorney in our company behalf, so we can then act and obviously apply for their NI number. Then consequently, we'll open them a Spanish bank account. And in the meantime, we'll do all the legal checks and all the obviously encumbrances, due diligence, all the property they've obviously looked into and want to buy, and get to a contract so parties are involved and obviously fix a completion date. So we are a company that we like to work in a way like the English lawyers, that we obviously update the clients every day with all the steps that we're following up. So the people are very concerned and aware when what stage and steps we're going ahead. So there's no hiccups. Well, this is what we really want to do, is not give them any last minute hiccups and delays in what they consider their dream to buy a property in Spain. So we've been doing this for many years, and our experience, obviously our staff, we were awarded last year with the best expat law firm in the UK. So obviously we are a company that we know what we're doing, and obviously more than welcome to any clients or citizens that like or need legal advice.
Yeah, you mentioned power of attorney there, and through the pandemic, a few people have bought remotely, haven't they? Through they've not been able to travel, and that's become an option for people these days.
That's right. Well, many developers now in the area are doing also virtual tours on properties, and people that couldn't come over during COVID, they've even bought a property because nowadays Costa Blanca is a very demanding area. It's an area that obviously, as Sue said, it's an area that you can enjoy all year round. We've got like 22, 23 degrees temperature nearly all year round, obviously except the months of summer. And it's a nice area, international area. We got a shopping centre, the biggest in the whole Spain, and people are very friendly. Spanish people are friendly. They obviously want as much tourists and people investing in the area, so people feel friendly, and they like to have a meeting if they're buying in a community, in a complex. People like to meet up and chat and discuss anything regarding the complex. So at the end of the day, nowadays we have a big demand of citizens, not only from the UK, other parts of the world, coming to Spain, coming to the area, because at the end of the day, it's a new lifestyle for all of you. And at the end of the day, I think it's more than worth coming over and doing it correctly, legally, with a qualified law firm, a qualified lawyer.
Yes, we always recommend people use a lawyer when purchasing a property abroad. So
yeah,
great, thank you, Jose. And just to close up, Mark, I mean, what other aspects about relocating to Spain, apart from the visa, might buyers need to think about from a legal point of view? I mean, there's taxation, there's all sorts of aspects, isn't there?
Yeah, basically, they need to consider, how they're going to tie up the loose ends in the UK. I generally, advise clients that are wanting to relocate now that tie up all your loose ends before the end of December, and basically, arrive to Spain so that you'd only spend 180 days, for example, because after 183 days of living in Spain in the calendar year, you become fiscal residents here. So, I advise clients, tie up all your loose ends, take any tax-free allowances for lump sums, sell your property. If you're going to wait until next year to sell the property, then Spain might be, considering a capital gain. They will be considering a capital gain, I should say. So, we'll have to see if the on the sale there would be a profit, and if they're not going to reinvest the whole amount that they've received for the sale on the first home in Spain, then there would be capital gains tax to pay. So taxes are very important to consider, and basically that's one of the most important things that I'm advising clients on. Also, you know, for wealth tax could be an issue for some clients. So, you know, the benefits of the golden visa or investor permit are, you know, that you could still remain non-resident for tax purposes. But, you know, it's not the case for a non-lucrative visa where you would need to spend most of the year. And it's a matter of adapting to the, you know, the circumstances of the client, and to make sure there's no surprises in the future. And my job is to make sure they're fully informed of the decision that they're making.
Yeah, you're right. Because what's changed is that you have to decide, are you going to be resident? Are you going to be holiday home owner? You can't just float between anymore, can you? And you distinguish between fiscal residency and legal residency, which are tax and sort of whether you've got a visa are two separate issues, aren't they?
Exactly. It's, you know, the tax year is the calendar year, and the permit, the year of your permit starts from the date that you arrive with the visa. So, you know, on a non-lucrative, you'll have to spend more than half the year from the date of arrival with your visa, and consecutive renewals. Okay.
But on a positive note to close up on, I mean, the process has become a lot easier as the Spanish consulates and the lawyers like yourself have begun to understand the ways that it can be streamlined. And compared with a year ago, would you agree that it's become, people are beginning to understand it and just get their head around it? Yeah,
basically, you know, there's been a few concessions, you know, being allowed to expats, certainly in relation to, you know, state pensioner, healthcare, you know, savings, and, you know, basically the process is being streamlined. London have set up a new appointment system where you need to have your police report translated before they even entertain an appointment. So, you know, the website has just recently changed too. So I see a lot of improvements, and as soon as the strikes can be resolved, I think a lot of Brits will be able to carry out their dream and relocate to Spain.
Yeah, from the property exhibitions we've been doing together, there's clearly a massive appetite to move to Spain. At least half the audience, every time we do a session, seem to want to make the full-time relocation. So
yeah, there's a love affair with Spain, and I've been here 20 years. I've never looked back, and I'm very, very happy on the Costa Blanca.
Perfect. So, as I said, next steps, if people want to contact your company, drop you an email, pick up the phone, how best to do that?
Yeah, we're on Facebook. We have a very comprehensive website if they'd like to have a look and see about wills, you know, purchase, visas, etc. And basically, you know, they could email admin@sun-lawyers.com, and we can then set up either a telephone free first consultation, or Zoom or Microsoft Teams, you know, or clients can come and see me in person, and we can study their situation and see what options they have.
Perfect. Well, Jose, anything to add before we close up? Or again, people can drop you a line and ask for your help?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Well, our website is www.sun-lawyers.com. And as I said, and Mark said previously, we're more than happy to help anyone. And yeah, you can drop us an email in admin@sun-lawyers.com. So thank you for your time.
Well, I look forward to doing the next show at Olympia with you both, doing some sessions on Spain. And thank you, Sue, for telling us about your happy visa journey, and hope your life in Spain continues to be as good as it sounds. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I hope that was useful.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks.
Have a nice day.